person who never made a mistake, never tried anything new. Namaskar, welcome to Next IS. I hope you are doing well. In this video, we will cover major headlines of the Hindu, Indian Express, and Press Information Bureau. So, without wasting any time, let's start today's discussion. Now, recently, Supreme Court held that Parliament cannot limit the power of the state to legislate on the taxation of mines and quarries within their jurisdiction. Supreme Court held that state legislatures drive their power to tax mines and quarries under Article 246 of the Constitution. The court also held that royalty paid by those who lease mines to the government is not tax, but it is a contractual consideration paid by the mining lessee to the lessor for enjoyment of mineral rights. Next article focuses upon anti-defection law because recently two Jharkhand MLAs disqualified under the anti-defection law. Both the MLAs had unsuccessfully contested this year's Lok Sabha election against the wishes of their parties. Now let's know the anti-defection law. The 52nd constitutional amendment introduced the anti-defection law through the 10th schedule in 1985 to ensure stability of elected governments. It provides for the disqualification of elected legislatures from the legislature in instances where they voluntarily switch parties or vote against the party's direction. Now recently 3 workers died of asphyxiation in Gujarat due to lack of safety equipment. Now let's understand why is illegal coal mining rampant in India. Friends, illegal mining in India mostly carried out in abandoned mines or shallow coal seams in remote or isolated places. It is a law and order issue falling under state jurisdiction. There are several factors contribute to illegal coal mining in India, and these are high demand for coal, poverty, unemployment, weak regulations, and alleged political support contribute to the prevalence of illegal coal mining. And do you know, friends, coal in India was nationalized in two phases. The first with coking coal, which was used for the production of coke in the steel industry, and then the non-coking coal mines in 1973. The Coal Mines Nationalization Act 1973 is the central legislation that determines eligibility for coal mining in India. Next article talks about Rwanda because recently Rwanda held its fourth presidential election with President Paul Kagame winning with over 99% of the votes. Talking about Rwanda, as you can see, it is a landlocked country situated in Central Africa. It is also known as the land of the thousand hills. It is bordered by Uganda to the north, Tanzania to the east, Burundi to the south, and Democratic Republic of Congo to the west. Now, recently, Minister of State for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship launched the Model Skill Loan Scheme in New Delhi. This scheme aims to empower the country's future-ready workforce, and under this scheme, education and upskilling opportunities will be provided to 25,000 youth across the country. Under this scheme, the loan amount limit has been increased to 7.5 lakh rupees, which was 1.5 lakh rupees earlier, and several non-banking financial companies, scheduled banks, and rural banks have also been added to the scheme, which will provide hassle-free loans to students. Now, recently, a high-level committee headed by the Union Home Minister approved several disaster mitigation and capacity building projects for various states that includes combating urban flooding and checking glacial lake outburst floods. The committee also approved a proposal of Yuva Abda Mitra scheme according to a draft notification by the Ministry of Environment and Forest Climate Change. Industries classified under the non-polluting white category might not need prior approvals from the state pollution control boards to be set up and run under the Air Act 1981 and Water Act 1974. These approvals, officially termed consent to establish and consent to operate, they are typically issued to control industries that release pollutants or discharge effluents into the environment. And do you know, friends, in 2016, the Central Pollution Control Board reclassified industries based on their pollution potential. This reclassification involved assessing pollution index scores based on emissions, effluent discharge, hazardous waste generation, and natural resource consumption. The white category was introduced during this reclassification, and examples of activities and projects in the white category include wind power and solar power projects, as well as assembly of air coolers and bicycles. Next article talks about listeriosis because recently two separate outbreaks of listeria have been reported in the United States and Canada in recent weeks. Talking about listeriosis, it is a serious infection usually caused by eating food contaminated with bacterium Listeria monocytogenes. This infection mostly likely to sicken pregnant women and their newborns, adult aged 65 or older, and people with weakened immune system. Now, Prime Minister of India will visit Kargil on the occasion of 25th Kargil Vijay Divas, which is being observed across the country to honor the bravery of Indian soldiers who sacrificed their lives during the Kargil War of 1999. This day commemorates India's victory over Pakistan in the conflict and marks the successful conclusion of Operation Vijay. During this operation, Indian armed forces reclaimed territories in the Kargil district that had been infiltrated by Pakistani soldiers and militants. Now, Indian Army contingent departed for the multinational military exercise Khan Quest, which is scheduled to be conducted from 27 July to 9th August at Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia. This exercise will bring together military forces from around the world to collaborate and enhance their peacekeeping capabilities. Last edition was held in 2023. This exercise first started as a bilateral event between US and Mongolian armed forces in the year 2003, and subsequently from the year 2006 onwards the exercise graduated to multinational peacekeeping exercise. Next article talks about state of food security and nutrition in the world report, which was recently published by Food and Agriculture Organization, International Fund for Agricultural Development, UNICEF, World Health Organization, and the World Food Programme. And according to this report, around 733 million people faced hunger in 2023, and situation in Africa was particularly dire, with 1 in 5 people there experiencing hunger. The report suggested that a reform of financing food security and nutrition was required to reduce global hunger. So with this, let's conclude our today's discussion. Thanks for listening, and for regular updates, you can follow us on various social media platforms.